Hello there, Maddie. How's your day going so far?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited to meet you. You are Kylie's mom, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
It's nice to meet you too.
Thank you. So basically the goal of this interview is to just kind of get to know your daughter more, kind of understand her behaviors that we're planning to target in our intervention, and basically just kind of make sure you know that we're here to have the best treatment for your daughter.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course. So, what is her birthday? I know she's 6 years old, but we don't have a birthday yet.
It's 3/3/18.
3/3/18. That is so funny. That's actually my birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. And we're gonna kind of go through her preferences. We're gonna go through her kind of verbal language skills, the behaviors that are kind of challenging right now, and we're hoping to target. So I'll just ask you a bunch of different questions and answer to the best of your abilities. So at this point, I have already reviewed Kylie's educational documents. I know you guys just moved from Ireland, but she doesn't have any what we call IEP, which is individualized education plans from her previous school since it was outside of the United States. But I saw in the forms that she was diagnosed with autism about 3 months ago. So I just wanted to let you know that I've kind of reviewed those documents as a basic understanding. But to start, I'd love to get um, to kind of hear about what her communication is like at this point. Like if she's nonverbal and kind of what her communication skills are.
Well, I think she's behind, behind her like peers,
Hmm.
but she is able to say some words, but that was one of the reasons why we thought like something might be wrong is she's not speaking as well as like other kids her age.
Okay. Would you say she's able to put together a sentence in conversation?
No, no, she kind of just she can say some individual words, like mom and dad and dog and that, but not really a sentence.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. Yes. We call that one word utterances, but there's many different forms of it in our field. Um, are you planning? I know she is going to start school in the next few months. Are you planning to do private, public, homeschool? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to do public school, especially if we can find one that we feel, will offer the support that she needs in order to hopefully be somewhat successful.
Yeah. And you guys are based in Everett, Washington. I saw on the
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So does Kylie how does she play with either other kids or other adults? Is she excited to play with other people or does she more kind of stick to herself?
She tends to stick to herself. And, one of the things that we're having a lot of problems with is the hitting and the tantrums and stuff. So
Mhm.
she has a younger sister, and the younger sister definitely like we have to kind of separate them a lot.
Get involved. Okay.
Yeah.
Does she have interest though to play with her sister, or it's mostly you guys kind of wanting to avoid a conflict?
No, she'll sometimes play with her sister, especially like if it's with her Barbies. She loves her Barbies. And so
Mhm.
like, if her as long as her sister kind of does what her sister's two, so sometimes 2-year olds don't always know what's going on.
Yeah,
So
they're
some
unpredictable.
yeah. So Kylie will do okay for a while, but then she sometimes gets frustrated when her sister doesn't do what she's supposed to do.
Understand?
In Kylie's opinion.
Yeah, understandable. Okay, so she has a 2-year-old sister. That is awesome. That's good to know. Let me just write down some of the stuff and then I'll respond in just a sec. So I heard you mention that she really likes Barbies.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. I love Barbies. I used to play with Polly Pockets growing up. That was kind of my my main thing. What other items or food or kind of anything does Kylie prefer?
Well, we have a dog and a cat, and she definitely likes the dog. She likes animals. She likes her dog and her cat. And she has a Mickey Mouse that she really likes because we went to Disneyland years ago and that's just like her little thing. Her little treasure.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
then she's also, definitely interested in food.
Hmm.
So,
Would you say you use food as like a reward for good behavior or based just like food in general?
well, I think just kind of food in general, but
Mm.
sometimes if she's really uh, we try not to restrict her too much because that might cause other things. But sometimes, if she's really having a tantrum, we will sometimes, say you have to leave the table, the
Yeah,
dinner table or whatever. So then that's, affects the food stuff.
yeah.
But we don't say, we're not going to give you food if you act like this. We don't do that.
Good. Okay. That is good to know. Let me see. Mhm. Besides like kind of tangible items, like the Mickey Mouse or the Barbies, are there any activities she really like prefers or would kind of be reinforced by? Or is it mostly what you already listed?
Well, she loves to, I mean, I already talked about the animals, but she does love to go out in the backyard and play with the
Okay.
dog. And that's like, throw the ball for the dog and, kind of run around and have the dog chase her and stuff. That's definitely one of her favorite activities.
Love it. So hopefully we can implement the dog and the cat in maybe our future therapy sessions. Um, so at this point, is Kylie taking any medication for her problem behavior at all? I know you guys were just recently diagnosed, but um,
Yeah, we haven't started that yet. I don't know if that's something that you guys help us with or if that's something we have to get from someone else, but we have not started any medication yet.
yeah, that's usually not our role, but we can definitely facilitate it. I'll have to get to know Kylie a little bit more, but I don't think that's a worry right now. Okay. So now we're gonna go kind of into an elaboration of the challenging behaviors. I know you mentioned tantrums.
Hmm.
What do these tantrums look like?
Oh, she, throws herself on the floor and,
Mm.
just like,
Hitting and screaming, kind of.
yeah, hitting and screaming and yeah. And
Uh,
then I mean, in addition to the tantrums, there's also just hitting, like sometimes, and especially like her younger sister
Okay.
gets, kind of, yeah. And sometimes every now and then, like the dog too, but
Oh,
not usually the dog, but mostly sometimes the sister.
yes. So I know she's still pretty young, so it's the intensity isn't as worrisome. But are the is the hitting more of a high intensity hit, or is it kind of just in the moment hitting, pushing to get away type of behavior?
I think it's more just like pushing to get away, or like her sister will grab something that she doesn't want her sister to
Hmm.
have, and so then she hits her.
Okay.
Yeah. It does, I mean, it definitely seems she doesn't seem to always understand when we say no, you can't hit, but I wouldn't say like she just doesn't go up and she usually doesn't just go up and hit her
Okay.
sister or someone, and like she doesn't hit us really, the adults,
Got it. So
yeah.
it's mostly with somebody that will be like taking away the thing she's playing with or denying her access to something.
Right. Or doing something she doesn't want her,
Yeah.
especially because she can't really speak very well. So then, she can't really tell her sister that she doesn't want her to do that.
Yeah.
And so then when her sister does it, then she
Yeah.
kind of hits her.
And 2 year
Yeah.
olds are unpredictable. So I can
Yes.
imagine being frustrated with a sister stealing. Um, so would you say, I know you kind of mentioned tantrums altogether, but what would you say is the single most concerning behavior you'd like to target, like the highest priority?
Oh, well, yeah, probably exactly to control her emotions a little bit better. And that both, I mean, that kind of includes both the hitting and the tantrums, but the tantrums are yeah, the tantrums are a little bit extreme, and especially if we're in public and,
Hmm.
and then she's not very verbal, so then that makes things worse. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I really appreciate the kind of the use of emotions. I think it can be easy sometimes to want to say like we just want to target the hitting or specifically like get to it, but kind of emotions and feelings are the underlying aspect for a lot of these. So that is a lot of our planning is kind of learning how to advocate for yourself, even if she's not fully verbal. We could get other systems like a AAC device, which is like an iPad that would allow her to kind of communicate through that. And usually we see that that really helps
Oh,
with their challenging behaviors because imagine if you weren't able to communicate what you wanted, it feels like no one is kind of giving you what you want at that moment. So that it's a good,
right.
yeah,
And I can see how that would make the tantrums probably more often and
yeah,
yeah,
more intense
yeah.
help.
Well, we feel really happy that now that she's diagnosed that we can get some, hopefully some of this help that we need and stuff.
Yeah,
Cause we took us many years to figure out what was going on kind of.
yeah, of course. It's hard to get that diagnosis, but it's also really good because then you have a lot of resources that come with it, usually insurance support, and especially the United States, our medical system is based on diagnosis-based treatment. So now the whole door has been opened for the possibilities that Kylie has. So that's great.
Right. And I've heard the school system in the United States does a pretty good job with some of the, higher need kids. So
Yes.
hopefully that will help too.
Yes. In our company, we have people working in both the school setting and the at home setting. So we could even do both for her depending on what's best. So this kind of goes to what we just talked about, but according to what you said, if I'm understanding you well, the kind of top three most concerning behaviors are tantrums, hitting, and maybe just the whole of emotional regulation. Are those the top three?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Okay. Tantrums.
And like you said, I think if we had one of those devices like that iPad type thing, then she could possibly be able to express that she's feeling a certain way. So then she maybe would stop doing a little, maybe that would help some of these behaviors
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I totally agree. Um, okay. So if we talked about the intensities of her tantrums, but just to get more of a full understanding of the behavior so we can create an effective plan, we kind of like to know what a low scale version of that like tantrum would look like versus a high scale. Um, if you have any examples or anything you could say to that.
Well, the high scale would be like a full on, throw herself on the floor,
Mhm.
scream, cry, hit. That's like the worst,
Okay.
just like, just out of control
Yes.
completely. And then the lower end would just be like probably like just I want that and just like
Mhm.
go over there and just kind of like go away, or that would be like the lower end.
And does she usually transition out of the low scale ones at a quicker rate?
Oh yeah.
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 So would you say for kind of the more higher intensity tantrums, uh like what could be the possible duration of that?
Oh, it seems like forever, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Hard.
I'm probably saying five, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Now, it's hard for me to say exactly because, like I said, at the time, it's like so stressful, but I'd say probably 5 minutes usually.
Okay.
So she transitions out event, it seems like, well, maybe that's not that quick. I don't know.
No, I mean every kid is different. So I mean it's hard to say at this moment. So low range is usually just quick outburst, transitions quickly out of the tantrum. Okay. So usually there's no hitting in a kind of a low intensity tantrum.
No, there might be a little bit of pushing,
Hmm.
but not, I wouldn't say really like kind of like more like get away from me.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty.
not really hitting, but just kind of like,
Yeah, that's pretty like age normal for any kid. So we try to make sure being aware that like Kylie's still a child at the end of the day. So
right.
there's going to be some behaviors that will be naturally occurring just because of her age. So
Yeah, and that's hard. It's hard to, understand sometimes because we're just kind of learning about this stuff now. So it's hard to understand what is the autism, what is the normal 6-year-old. And so that,
Yeah,
yeah, any help you can give us there would be good.
of course. Okay, so we are going to continue going. We are about halfway through at this point. So thank you for meeting with me. If you have any questions at all through, just make sure to let me know. Um, so does the tantruming and the hitting tend to occur in like a burst, or does it typically happen after something has already occurred? I know you mentioned that it's usually when her toys are maybe taken from her, but is there any other environmental conditions where it would occur under?
Well, definitely when she's tired, but that again, I think is kind of a normal 6-year-old
Hmm.
behavior. I mean, when she's tired, she's more likely to have a tantrum. Um, I think, you know, when when there's a lot of stimulation going on, like if there's a lot of confusion in the house or a lot, you know, more people than normal, then that tends to set her off a little bit too.
Hmm.
Those are probably the ones I've noticed the most.
Yeah. Besides the kind of being denied access, somebody taking her.
Yes. Yeah. And like I said, usually that's her sister, usually.
Okay. Do the tantrums happen in kind of in cahoots with another behavior? Like, for example, the screaming happens when she's tantruming and the hitting happens when she's tantruming. Do they happen exclusive of each other, or do they usually only happen when it's kind of all together? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, she does do some hitting without going into full tantrum. I
Okay.
mean, yeah. So, but that's usually a lot more mild. The hitting during the tantrum is a lot more severe.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I feel like the hitting and the screaming would have like it's like a warning.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to warn you that I'm about ready to go into my tantrum.
Got it.
So it's like a pre-behavior, and then if something doesn't change, then the tantrum happens.
Okay. That makes sense. So hitting usually transitions into a tantrum.
Yeah.
So you said the conditions or situations are stimulating environments, being overly tired. Is it ever related to food or anything like that?
Well, sometimes when we take something away from her that she wants, you know, not, again, we don't usually take food away from her, but like if we take her Mickey Mouse away from her, or
Mm-hmm.
if we, you know, the dog is being bothered too much, and so we take the, you know, we put the dog in a different room or something because
Yeah.
she's been bothering the dog, then
Thanks
we,
and the dog. Yeah.
yeah, and then she'll, yeah.
Okay. So I know we're kind of repeating the same questions over and over again, but it's just to get kind of a general understanding. Um, but what seems to trigger the behavior of hitting? Is it what you just mentioned?
Yeah, I'd say the two things. When her sister does something that she doesn't want to, like I've already said, and then like if we remove something, or you know, it's kind of like when she doesn't get something she wants. Like either we've taken it away from her or her sister's done something she didn't want her to do.
Yeah.
Those are when we see it the most. And I think some, like you said, sometimes it's when she can't communicate, she gets frustrated, and yeah.
Do you think you've seen an increase in behavior compared to when you were living in Ireland to moving here? Do you think maybe the move has any um kind of any roles, or I'm just curious to hear.
Well, I think, you know, it's always hard for kids, it's hard for everyone to transition from one country to another. So I think, yeah, we've seen a little bit of an increase. But we definitely knew something was going on when we were in Ireland too. So it's like, this isn't just about the move, but yes, she's had some bad weeks since the move, since we've moved, like it's definitely, I think, not having the house is different, the people talk a little different, all of that.
We'll just note that as something that could be adding to it. But I mean, I totally agree with you when you say that the behaviors were already existing there. It could just be simply because of the transition period.
Right.
So would you say the tantrums happen only during playtime? Or could this randomly happen when they're watching the same show?
It doesn't usually happen when they're watching the same show, but there will be time, like there's been a couple times when like we've been in the grocery store and she wants something at the grocery store
Okay.
and I don't get it for her.
Mhm.
Like she wants something sweet or whatever, and I don't get it for her, then she's been known to go into tantrums for that. But again, based on what I've seen from other kids, I don't know that that might be a normal 6-year-old behavior. I'm not sure.
But say they're at the playground and there's no access to toys there. Is it possible she would still throw a tantrum maybe at the decision to leave the park?
Yes, or if like she's wanting to go on the swing and there's someone on the swing.
Okay. So it's pretty
Yeah.
general in any environment, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then do these problem behaviors occur when you kind of have a break in your routine? Because, sometimes what we see with individuals with autism is they're really routine based. So sometimes
Mm-hmm.
these behaviors can be more heightened during moments of transition. So I don't know if you've seen an increase in behaviors at all during breaks in routine, or if maybe it's because of the novelty, it's actually gone down.
We've seen an increase since moving here. Yes, but I think that is because of the transition.
Okay.
Yeah. And because, we're trying to get all the furniture, get the house set up, there's just a lot of transitions.
Okay.
So yes, we have seen an increase. And, it's one of those things, it's like, we're not sure because now that we've just had the recent diagnosis, maybe we're looking for it more.
Mm-hmm.
Like now that we know she's autistic, maybe we're like, oh, there's a sign, but she definitely seems to be having uh, more problems since we've moved to
Yeah.
United States.
No, that's a very good point that you made. Like, since you have the diagnosis, there's more to look for. So it very much could be kind of um, a reason you're noticing it more. Okay. I kind of think I know the answer to this question, but I want to make sure with you. But does the problem behavior occur does it happen to occur when she doesn't get her way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And what do you think she's trying to control when she um like what do you think the reason for her tantrum is? Because she maybe thinks she'll give the toy back to her?
Oh, well, I think part of it is just frustration and lack of being able to communicate about it. And yes, I think she thinks if I do this, then maybe someone will come in and give me back what I want or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of it is started because she's just frustrated and can't, doesn't have the words to say, I don't want you to touch my toys or whatever it is.
Uh-huh. So I'm noticing that communication is a big thing you'd like to prioritize.
Well, I think it would help, like when you said that about the iPad thing, I think that would be nice for her to be able to have a button she could push or whatever, if that's the way it works,
Mm-hmm.
where she could, express some of this stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that that would probably help. her throat have less tantrums if she was able to express herself. But
Yeah.
again, I'm so new to this, you would probably know more than me. I mean, I don't know if that's like realistic or not, but it seems like that might be realistic.
Oh, I think it's definitely realistic. And um our goals are focused based on what you see as a priority and what we also believe is the most effective treatment for a child. And one of the highest priorities is being able to communicate or advocate for what you want, because that's very important in any aspect of life. So I can definitely tell you that verbal skills will be one of the first things we prioritize when we do our treatment plan.
Good.
Um, okay, so now we're gonna kind of go to the consequences of her behavior when she does tantrum. How do
Okay.
you, as the mom, and others react to this problem behavior?
Oh, depends on where I am in my day of how
Well, I
exhausted I
mean,
am.
yeah, that's the role of the mom.
Um, if she's really like kind of hurting her sister or the dog, then I react more severely, obviously, and
Mhm.
will grab her and remove her from the situation or whatever. But if it's, I mean, usually I try to separate her from whatever she's like, so I'll put her in a different room from her
Okay.
sister or the dog or, whoever or with the tantrum. I mean, if we're able to, it's not in the grocery store, if we're able to, we just will sometimes just leave the room and let her have the tantrum
Okay.
until she wears herself out.
Got it. Mm,
Again, hopefully your program will help with some more effective ways to do some of that, because sometimes she's my oldest child, and sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly what's the right way to
yeah,
react to those things.
definitely. I mean, it's new for all of us, so we will learn together. So how does dad respond or others? Like, you sometimes what we see with these behaviors is they're maintained because maybe somebody else in their life gives them the toy, or
Uh,
so would you say
yeah.
any individuals in her life that would kind of give into these tantrums?
Well, one reason why we moved here from Ireland is because we wanted to be closer to our families, and
Mhm.
so definitely grandmas tend to give in more than than us. And my husband, and I too. But if we're tired after a long day, sometimes it's just like, okay, let's just let her have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're definitely not perfect, but we try not to always let her get her way, and
Oh,
so
this is
I will.
completely understandable. And I mean I've been there with many kids where it seems in this moment like the only thing that will maybe calm them down is just giving them the toy. So that's another reason why I'm here, is to kind of help alleviate that for you and to work out a better system for her to feel like she doesn't have to kind of get into these grandiose tantrums to get what she wants.
That would be great.
So, what do you specifically do, and others, if you would like to list, to kind of calm her down when she has engaged in this problem behavior?
Well, when she allows us to, we'll try to just, hug her and let her tell her we love her, and that we understand it's frustrating, and tell her that she should try to use her words if she can, which of course she has some difficulty with.
Hmm.
Um, but sometimes she doesn't want us to hug her, and
Pushes you away,
so
possibly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we just sometimes, you know, we try to comfort her how we can. Like sometimes
Yeah.
we'll just give her her little pillow and or Mickey Mouse and her blanket to say, okay, why don't you just calm down and
Hmm.
spend
I,
a few minutes regrouping, and
yeah,
when you're ready, come out.
exactly. The giving space to calm down is a very effective um, option. And, I'll see when I meet her in person and kind of throughout these next few months, like what is the best system for her to de escalate.
So do you take this information and then you kind of write up a plan, and then when you meet with her, you kind of revise that plan and stuff? Is that kind of what you do?
Yeah, it's a
Or,
multi-step process. So I've reviewed the educational documents, which there is not that many since you guys just moved from Ireland, and the medical diagnosis. But since she's recently just starting ABA, it's going to be pretty fresh. So we're definitely going to do a lot of revising and seeing where it goes, reviewing the data. We take a lot of like behavioral data on graphs and stuff that I can show to you in the future if you'd want. And then we revise every month or so to kind of see what the most effective plan is for her.
great.
Yeah, of course. Would you say there's anything you guys do to distract her from this problem behavior?
Well, sometimes when we see it, if it's coming, yes, we do try to distract her. So we will sometimes, uh, have her come and read a book with us, or,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah, something that is not, that's relaxing and not stimulus,
Yeah, relaxy, relaxing.
quiet, more quiet.
Yeah, non-stimulus heavy.
Or, exactly. Sometimes we just take her sister away too. Sometimes we just say, okay, you can play in here by yourself and just
Uh-huh.
calmly, quietly, calmly, you know, so that sometimes helps too.
Yeah. Is 2-year-old sister starting to develop some words too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, she's definitely kind of catching up with
catching her up
her older
there.
sister
Yep.
quickly.
That's
Yeah.
that's also really exciting though, because that will, in some ways, we see that the seeing the example in the younger sister could help Kylie to also kind of grow in some ways. So it's
Oh,
a
good.
yeah, it's a good environment to be in. Mm-mm-mm. So these are our final questions. So it's going to be kind of a review of everything we've talked about. But what do you think Kylie is trying to communicate to you when she engages in these problem behaviors?
I think she's trying to communicate that, one, she either needs some space,
Mm-hmm.
two, that she doesn't, want whoever is doing whatever, she wants something and someone's not giving her what she wants,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which again, I think is probably normal for 6-year-olds. They want the sugar cereal or whatever, and we're not, but I would say the biggest thing is just that, she's frustrated because she can't communicate. So she's trying to say, I either need some space, I'm overstimulated, I want something.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Let's see here on our last two questions. Um, do you think this behavior is this like tantruming, throwing herself to the ground, screaming, hitting is ever a form of self stimulation? So maybe in some ways it helps to soothe herself.
It doesn't seem like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that.
One of
There
the
might be some times, when she's with the dog and what we think is hitting, maybe she's trying to hug the dog, but
mhm,
it looks like she's trying to choke the dog.
yeah, yeah.
So maybe with the dog, that might be her kind of just like, holding the dog to soothe herself, but we think she's hurting the dog. So maybe with the dog sometime, but I would say most of the other times, no.
Okay. I'll know with the dog. It's a possibility. Um, one of the reasons I asked that is because one of the goals of this interview and in reviewing her like initial data is to kind of understand the function of her behavior. So I ask about the self-stimulation because sometimes autistic individuals engage in behaviors because it's like stimming. If I don't know if you've heard that before, it's stimulating to them. So that's why I was just asking, but it doesn't sound like that is the case with Kylie. I just wanted to ask. Um, And just to get kind of a overall summary, and I want to make sure I'm understanding you right, it seems like Kylie is engaging in tantruming, hitting, and screaming because of denied access to something. Does that sound
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes, I'd say denied, and also just frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Denied access and frustration.
Okay, well, that is everything for our interview, but I wanted to give you the floor if there's anything you wanted to ask or any questions or if you're feeling good right now.
So how do you guys decide if you're going to see her at home versus at school?
That's also up to you, mostly, at least with the
Okay.
I work with. It we're gonna have to see, but because with a school setting, that usually has to be contracted through our company, or they kind of the school needs to make an IEP, which is what I mentioned to you earlier, an education plan, and then they will determine that Kylie maybe needs one-on-one support. But we don't know yet if Kylie will need one-on-one support yet at school because we haven't seen her in a school setting. So
Okay.
it's hard to say at this moment, but I could see us starting at more of a home or clinic setting with Kylie.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was great to meet you, Maddie, and I hope you have a really good rest of your day.
Thanks. Nice to meet you too, Sienna.
Bye.